Hello, hello, hello. I'm hoping I'm live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. My second live technically, but this is the one which is hopefully working well because I've got all the gadgets and gizmos attached to my laptop. Anyway, let's not waste time because I value your time quite a bit. So first of all, like I said in my last video, I will be doing a lot more lives from now on. So if you are keen to join me live, if you're keen to ask any questions, hopefully the technology will work for us. And if you want to ask any questions, I'll be able to answer them. Might not be able to answer all of them, but if I'm not able to, then I'll obviously come back and answer those questions later. But anyway, so today's topic is all to do with confidence, right? And so we're going to talk a lot about confidence, but I wanted to keep today's video slightly different. If you think you lack confidence, I'm sure you've already done a lot of work around it. You might have read books, you might have attended courses, you might have done all sorts of different things. But if you're still keen and you're still watching this video, there's a good chance that those things might not have helped you as much as you would like them to. So today we're going to do something slightly different. And I'm not going to give you, or I'm certainly not going to start by giving you 6 tips or 6 pointers on how to develop confidence or stuff like that, because in my channel, I've always talked about the subconscious, what lies beneath. So my intention for today is to help you fix everything by understanding the root cause of things. So let me explain that by giving you an example. So hopefully you can see this sheet. I'm just going to try and move it a bit closer to the camera. So hopefully you can see this now. If you're wondering what the hell this is and what's that got to do with today's video, bear with me because we'll come on to that in a minute. Some of you might have already clocked on to the fact that this is, or this certainly looks like an iceberg. Now, I am not going to give you a lesson in science because I'm not really the right person to be doing that. However, what I am going to tell you is that the reason I'm showing you this is because, yes, this looks like an iceberg, but this is actually a metaphor for your subconscious mind. So if you look closely, the part that you see above, which is the part of the tip of the iceberg, should I say, that is actually your conscious mind. That's where all the logical, the rational thinking takes place. The big part that is underneath, that's hidden from everything, which is basically the biggest part of the iceberg, now that is your subconscious mind. A better way to explain subconscious mind is, whereas your conscious mind is more the thinking, the rational, the logical mind, the subconscious part, this is where all your beliefs are. This is where all your emotions are. So this is the part where if you don't address this part correctly, no matter what you do there in the conscious part, it's just not going to work for you. So a very simple way to explain this is the conscious part of your mind is actually only about 5%. And the rest, the other 95%, is all your subconscious. So if you want to fix something, you actually need to work on the 95%, because if you just keep working on the 5%, chances are you're not going to be able to fix things. So what we are going to do in today's video is I'm going to work with you on this subconscious part, which is the 95%. So if confidence is your issue, and if you've tried a whole lot of things, right, and you've attended courses and you've taken training and you've done a whole lot of things, but nothing seems to actually be either working for you or not working as well as you would like it to, then the problem is somewhere here. So before I give you the tips and things that will really help you boost your confidence, I'm going to tell you how you can address the subconscious beliefs that you have. So let me put this away so we can talk about what needs to happen. So first of all, if there's any questions that you have during this, feel free to drop them in the chat below, and I will try and answer all of those questions. Also, what would be really good, because I've got subscribers from literally all over the world, so what would be good really is if you could add in the chat where you're from. Just gives me an idea so I can tailor my content accordingly. But anyway, let's move on. So if you watch me, if you see me looking down, that's only because I've got some pointers for you and I just want to make sure I'm not missing out anything. So, like I said, the first thing we need to do is we need to address all the subconscious beliefs. So, let's not worry about our conscious at this moment in time. Let's go down to subconscious. And there are four effective techniques that I want you to think about, and if possible, use between now and when I go live next time, which will be at some point next week. And I promise you one thing: if you work on these four things, when you come back, or whether you watch me live or whether you want to replay, when you come back the next time, you're going to see a huge shift in how you think about yourself and how you relate to whether you believe you're confident or not. So here goes. The first thing I want you to do or work on is I want you to think about confidence. And when you think about yourself, for example, or this may apply to anybody in your family, right? A friend, a family member, or whoever. So your job is to guide them if they're not watching this, but you know there's somebody who needs help with this. So what I really want you to do is, you might think, I'm not confident, right? What I want you to do is, the next time you have that thought that I'm not confident, I want you just to pause for a minute, and I want you to stop broad brushing that. Because here's the thing: there is nobody in this world who's not confident. And what I mean by that is, so say, for example, I'm not a very, very confident person when it comes to okay, let me give you a better example. I am a very confident person when it comes to driving a car, because I do, or I used to do, thousands upon thousands of miles of driving every single month. So if somebody said to me, how are you with driving a car? I'd say, oh, I'm fairly confident, right? However, if you said to me, can you fly a small plane? Now, my husband's a private pilot, so for him, he'll be like, yeah, no problem, I'll fly a private plane. What's the big deal there? But if you said to me, can you fly a private plane? I'd be like, no way would I be able to do that, right? So the point here being, I am a very confident person when it comes to driving a car. However, I am not a confident at all person when it comes to flying a plane. So if I say to myself, I am not confident, then that basically sends the message to my subconscious, which is basically broad brushing my confidence. And what that does is, if I constantly keep saying to myself, I'm not confident, I'm not confident, I'm not confident, when the reality is I may be lacking a skill. So if I really wanted to, and if I was very interested in flying a plane, maybe that's something I can learn. And if I learn that, then I become confident. So the point here isn't that you're not confident. The point here is, when you broad brush, the message you send to your subconscious is, this is my identity. My identity is that of a not confident person. Whereas if you're very clear in what you're trying to say, and if I'm trying to say, look, I'm not very confident in flying a plane, now that is a clear message to my subconscious that it's a lack of skill and it's not actually my identity. So do you see the difference there? You don't want your lack of confidence in a particular thing or 10 particular things to become your identity. So that's point number one. Do not let the fact, or do not let this notion that I am not confident become you or become who you are. So the first thing I want you to do is, next time you have this thought of I'm not confident, stop, pause, and think about and reframe that to I'm not confident in, and whatever that particular thing is, right? So that's point number one. Point number two, and this is quite an important point, also it's related to CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And this is, when you feel you're not confident about something, what I want you to do is I want you to actively seek evidence to the contrary. This is called cognitive restructuring. But forget about all that jargon. Here is what it simply means. You need to follow a very systematic approach to rewiring your subconscious mind. So if you feel, so I'll just use my example again. I'm very confident in driving a car. I'm not confident, or so I believe at this moment, I'm not confident in flying a plane. Now that's the reality of it. What I need or what I should be doing is I should be seeking evidence to the contrary. So what that means is it's a skill set that I'm lacking. So every time I feel, and maybe let's say for some reason I must learn to fly a plane because it's like life and death situation for me. Okay. So if I then want to develop that skill set or develop confidence in being able to fly a plane, and every time I feel, oh my God, I can't fly a plane, I'm just not confident. What I need to do is I need to seek evidence to the contrary. And what I mean by that is, okay, I haven't flown a plane, so it's difficult to actually seek that evidence, right? There's no evidence that I've ever flown a plane. However, what I could do in that situation is I could think about when was a time that I drove something which was completely new for me, that was, very difficult thing to drive, that I knew nothing about. Maybe I drove a car that was an electric car, or maybe like I drive a Tesla. So the first time I drove a Tesla, it was really, really difficult. It was very different to my old cars. I just knew nothing about it. But actually, do you know what? I nailed it. I nailed it within about 15 minutes. So what I'm doing by doing that is I'm actively seeking evidence that I have done something like this in the past. So what I'm doing is I'm actively rewiring my mind to think that I can develop that confidence, that I can develop that skill that I'm missing. So that's your point number two. Actively seek evidence to the contrary, right? Moving on. And this is quite a simple but a very effective thing you can do. So every time you feel, again, when I say confidence, I don't necessarily just mean confidence in your career. You can look at confidence across the spectrum. So it could be your personal life, it could be how you show up in life, it could be your career, it could be the relationships you have. Maybe you just feel, you know what, I don't come across as a confident person. I don't come across as a confident person either in my professional life or my personal life. This would apply to everything. What I want you to do is, if there's a particular area, so let's talk about public speaking. So let's say, for example, you don't have confidence in public speaking, but it's something you really want to get good at. Now, every time you think about public speaking and you start worrying about it, again, what I want you to do, and bear in mind, this is all reprogramming your subconscious mind. So what I want you to do is, next time that happens to you, just stop for a second and just change the sentence you're saying. So if, say, for example, you were saying, I'm not confident in public speaking, what I want you to do is just say, I'm not confident in public speaking yet, right? It's a very, very simple three-letter word, yet, but it is one of the most powerful words there is in English dictionary. And I'll explain to you why. You see, when you use a simple word like yet, all you're doing is you're reprogramming your mind to go from lack to possibility. So when I say I'm not good at public speaking, now that is sending message to my subconscious mind that you're lacking something. Whereas if I say I'm not good at public speaking yet, I've now reframed that and I've gone from lack to abundance mindset, or lack to possibility mindset, because I'm saying I'm not good at it yet, but that doesn't mean I'll never be good at it. Also, the other thing you're doing by doing that is you're actually going from fixed mindset to growth mindset. Now, I could do a full video on growth mindset, so I won't go into too much detail, but just very briefly, the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset is somebody who has a fixed mindset believes that their abilities are limited, that they cannot learn new things, that they cannot do new things. And you might have heard people say, do you know what? And it might be, your age, it might be your race, it might be anything. So a lot of times I hear people of a certain age say, well, I'm at this age, what am I going to do? I can't learn new things now. And that is very much fixed mindset, where you think there is something that is stopping you from being able to develop your mindset further, right? So that is fixed mindset. Growth mindset, on the other hand, somebody who's got a growth mindset believes that they can learn, they can develop, they can learn at any age, they can do anything they want. So basically, when you use the word yet, you train your subconscious to go from fixed mindset to growth mindset. And all that's doing is, slowly but surely, that is changing your neural pathways. So basically, how your nerves are connected and how they're talking to each other, that's basically how your subconscious mind changes, and how you see the benefits of that over time. So when you use the word yet after every limitation that you believe you have, you're actually giving clear message to your subconscious that, look, I can't do this yet. However, it's not a dead end. There's still hope. We can still do this. So there's lots of possibility for you to improve, right? So that's point number 3, is just using a simple 3-letter magical word, yet. And then the last thing, which is a technique that a lot of sports people use quite a bit, but a lot of other people use it as well. And it's a very powerful technique, and that is visualization. Now, here's something for you to know. Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between imagination and reality. And if you don't believe me on that, I'll give you a very simple example to prove. So if you just close your eyes for a couple of minutes, right? And imagine you are going into your kitchen or that part of your house where you normally store lemons. Um, and in your mind's eye, imagine you walking up to that place, whether it's your refrigerator, whether it's somewhere else, wherever you store lemons. And what I want you to do is imagine you've picked up a lemon from that place and you've sliced it in half. And what I want you to do now is take that half of the lemon and bring it close to your nose so you can actually smell the aroma, the sourness, the bitterness of that lemon. And I want you to now, still with your eyes closed, in your mind's eye, imagine that you're sucking on that lemon. You can see all the juices flowing into your mouth of that lemon. And you can actually feel all of that in your mouth. And if you started believing that you've actually got a lemon when there is actually no lemon, it's just all your imagination, right? That is a very small example and a very quick example of how powerful your subconscious mind actually is. So here's the thing. If you want to be confident and if you want to prepare your subconscious to be receptive to everything that I'm going to talk about, which will help you increase your confidence many, many, many folds, then what you need to do is you need to visualize yourself being a confident person. So imagine whatever that situation is that you're not confident about. So let's use our previous example, which is not confident in public speaking. So what I want you to do is imagine, close your eyes and visualize yourself. Visualize yourself as that version of you that's really confident in public speaking. And what I want you to do is go as deep as you possibly can with it. So what would that version of you look like? What would that version of you, how would they act? How would they feel? How would they show up? I want you to imagine all of that. So just close your eyes and imagine that person, that version of you that is extremely confident in public speaking. How would they act? How would they feel? What would their be like? I want you to imagine it in as much detail as you possibly can. And this is just public speaking. You can use this for literally anything. Now, all you're going to do, and you don't need to do it for hours and hours, even if you can do it for a couple of minutes a day. And if you can do it for more than once in a day, that's even better. But even if you do it for a couple of minutes a day, all you're doing is you're training your subconscious mind to actually make that a reality. Because going back to what I was saying, your subconscious does not differentiate between imagination and reality. So the more you keep imagining this scenario, the more your reticular activating system, which again, it's a very complicated topic, so we're going to cover that another time. But what you need to know for now is reticular activating system is the part of your brain that will actively go and seek things to make your imagination a reality. Right? So if you can visualize, if you can imagine that part of you or that self of you, which is living that reality that you dream of, your subconscious mind is going to actually help you get to that point. Right? So I'm going to quickly recap because I'm conscious of time. There are 4 things that I want you to work on between now and the next time we go live. The first one is stop broad brushing, stop saying I am not confident, and keep it very specific to the area that you don't feel confident in. So I am not confident in whatever. not I'm not confident. Number two, I actively want you to seek evidence to the contrary. So if you believe you're not confident, well, do you know what? Seek evidence that that is not the truth, right? Number three is I want you to use the word yet for any area of your life where you don't feel confident. Change your mindset from fixed to growth. And finally, learn to visualize. Imagine that's part of you, that new self of you, which is actually living that reality that you want to live. And I've just got a question which I'm going to quickly answer before I wrap up. And the question is: my wife is always taking stress. How can she gain confidence? So I think that's a very good question. And the first thing I'm going to say is, going back to my point number one, what is the stress about? Because stress is a very big, wide topic. You need to break it down, and you need to break it down to bits and understand really what is causing her stress. Because if you really understand what is causing somebody's stress, there's something you can do about it. So if your wife, for example, she's stressed throughout the day, what she needs to do is she probably, there will be times in the day when she'll feel more stressed. What I want her to do is to keep a small notebook, a notepad, whatever is easier, and just very quickly, when she feels like all these feelings of stress, I just want her very quickly to make a note of what's coming up for her. What is causing that spike? Because there's nobody in the world who's just constantly stressed throughout the day, right? There'll be times in the day when she might be feeling more stressed than other times. So it's just, the first thing is identify the root cause, identify those things that are causing stress. And then I'm going to be covering a lot of things in my channel which will help with stress reduction. So I think that's the main question for now. So yeah, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to quickly wrap this up. There will be another live video next week where I promise you I'm going to share some more tips on how to develop confidence. But if you work on the 4 things that I've just mentioned today, you will 100% see a lot of benefit, and your subconscious is going to be 100% ready to take on all the points that I'm going to share with you for the next video, which will give you unshakable confidence. Because remember what we're doing right now, we are addressing the root cause of you not feeling confident. Well, that's it for now. If you've joined me live, then thank you very much. I will be putting a post on my YouTube channel of when I'm going live next, but it's roughly going to be this time next week, if not on Sunday. So yeah, I will share all of that. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions, and if you're watching a replay of this, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. And I'm going to do my best to answer them. Well, that's it. Thank you for now. Take care. Bye-bye.